Here we are again. And the carp is in the bathtub. Yes. And he seemed to be smiling. In those days, people like us who lived in apartments in Flatbush did not have pets. Harry and I would have loved owning a dog, a cat, or a bird, but Mama and Papa had never thought of such a thing, and it never occurred to us to ask. I'll tell you one thing, though. After that carp had been in our bathtub for nearly a week, we knew he was not just any old carp. He was our pet. In memory of Mr. Ginsburg, we called him Joe. 2 days before Passover, when I came home from school, Mama said, "You look after Harry, Leia. I have to go shopping, and I'll never get anything done if I have him trailing after me." As soon as Mama was gone, I looked at Harry. Harry looked at me. "We have to save Joe," I told him. "We'll never have another chance," Harry agreed. "But what'll we do?" "Mrs. Ginsburg has a bathtub," I reminded him. Harry nodded. He saw what I meant right away. There they are, Mom's leaving. The planning's begun. I went to the kitchen, got the bucket, and carried it to the bathroom. Harry had already let the water out of the tub. He helped lift Joe into the bucket. It was not easy for us because Joe must have weighed 15 pounds, but we finally managed. We could add only a little water to the pail because it was too heavy for us. Carrying that big fish. With both of us holding on to the handle and banging the bucket against every step, we lugged it downstairs to Mrs. Ginsburg's door. Then we rang her bell. She was very fat, and it took her a long time to waddle to the door, but she finally opened it. "Why, Leia, Harry," she said in surprise. "I'm glad to see you. Won't you come in? And why are you carrying that bucket?" Mrs. Ginsburg was a very nice lady. She was always kind to us, even when she couldn't understand what we were doing. Here they are, carrying a bucket. There's Mrs. Ginsburg in the door. We carried our bucket into Mrs. Ginsburg's front room. "May I ask what you have there?" she said politely. "It's Joe," said Harry. "Joe!" Mrs. Ginsburg closed her eyes and put her hand over her heart. "We named him for Mr. Ginsburg," I explained quickly. "He smiles like Mr. Ginsburg." "Oh." Mrs. Ginsburg tried to smile too. Just then Joe twitched. His tail flashed over the top of the bucket, and a few drops of water dripped onto the oriental rug Mrs. Ginsburg had bought at Abraham and Strauss with Mr. Ginsburg's Christmas bonus 2 years ago. She glanced into the pail. "My goodness," she said, "he looks like a fish to me." "He is a fish," I said. "He's the best fish in the world, and Mama can't kill him for Passover. She just can't. Please let him stay in your bathtub, please, just for a little while, until I can figure out where to keep him for good." Mrs. Ginsburg. "Oh, Joe." "But Leia," Mrs. Ginsburg said, "I can't do that. Your Mama is my friend." "If you don't let us put Joe in your bathtub soon," Harry pleaded, "he'll be dead. He's almost dead now." Mrs. Ginsburg and I peered into the bucket. Harry was right. Joe didn't look too good. His scales weren't shiny anymore, and he had stopped thrashing around. There was not enough water in that bucket for him. "All right," said Mrs. Ginsburg, "but just for now." She ran some water into her tub, and we dumped our carp in. He no sooner felt all that clear, cold water around him that he perked right up and started swimming. I took a few morsels of meat I had stored in my pocket and gave them to him. He smiled at me just like always. "But this fish can't stay here," Mrs. Ginsburg warned. "I'm afraid I can't help hide him from your mother and your father." "What shall we do?" Harry asked me, blinking his eyes hard to keep back the tears. "We'll go find Papa," I told him. "Papa doesn't cook, so maybe he'll understand. We'll have to find him before Mama gets home." Oh, fish in the tub. Papa was a cutter in the garment factory in Manhattan. He came home every night on the subway. Harry and I went down to the corner and waited by the stairs that led up from the station. After a while, we saw a big crowd of people who had just gotten off the train come up the stairs. Papa was with them. He was holding on to the rail and climbing slowly with his head down. "Papa, Papa," we called. He looked up and saw us. He straightened his shoulders, smiled, and ran quickly up the few remaining steps. "You came to meet me," he said. "That's so nice." Do you guys meet your parents when they come home from work? Of course, now everybody's working from home. But yeah, that's what dads like, to see their kids. And as far as being a cutter in a factory, that means he used to use a big scissor to cut fabric to make clothes. I'm going to stop for now and start again in a